Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here tonight as we're going to be taking a look at WWE SummerSlam 2018. As of right now, we are looking at the rumored card that is going to be there. I can honestly tell you that I haven't watched SummerSlam in 2 years. I don't want to be that guy who comes out and basically says he's disgruntled because, basically I had a ticket to go to SummerSlam each and every year. I went for 6 years from 2010 all the way until 2015 before it was moved out of Southern California to be heading over to New York. But I was there. I was all up in that SummerSlam. I loved every minute of going to all of those shows. And SummerSlam is always looked at as, one of the biggest shows of the year right behind WrestleMania. But I didn't watch SummerSlam 2016. I didn't watch SummerSlam 2017. No real reason why. I guess I just had other stuff to do. I can't even tell you that if I've ever even watched it after the fact. I just know that I didn't watch it live. I do know that I have watched Finn Balor winning the championship, but I think that was the only match that I watched off of that whole entire show 2 years ago. I can tell you right now, as of looking at what SummerSlam 2018 looks like, this looks like a pretty good show. And judging right off of the bat, you got the Universal Championship match, which more than likely is going to be the main event of the show. It's Brock Lesnar going up against Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley. This Monday, on Monday Night Raw, we have Roman Reigns going against Bobby Lashley in the number one contenders match. And in that match, I just made a video on it today. I basically picked Roman to get the win, and then basically Lashley to come out and say, hey, I beat you at the pay-per-view, WWE Extreme Rules 2018. I think we should, do it again as a rubber match, and basically that's how we just end up with a triple threat at the pay-per-view. So, as of right now, looks like I'm pretty damn smart. From there we go to the WWE Championship match of AJ Styles going against Samoa Joe. This is going to be a really good match. I was honestly asking for this match to happen at WWE's WrestleMania 33 in Orlando, thinking that this would be a pretty good joke on TNA because of the fact that, Orlando being the home of Impact Wrestling, it being the home of WrestleMania 33. It would be a pretty good joke of two of the biggest stars of TNA that had jumped over to WWE, had a match, in the same city on the biggest stage of them all. I know that by watching last week's episode of SmackDown, Andre Cien Almas, some people can say that maybe he's not ready. I think that guy is going to be a star, and when it came down to it, I picked him as the guy that would be drafted during the Superstar Shakeup from NXT to SmackDown, and when it came to fruition, I told everybody, this is a guy that could be main eventing SmackDown by SummerSlam. I really thought that was going to be a match. I didn't think that he was going to win on SmackDown. I didn't think that was going to happen, but that was as good a match as he could have had. And where do we go from here from Cien Almas? I know that it's a roll of the dice. He could, just start winning matches against mid-card guys left and right and move his way up the card and become a main event guy by later in the year before we get into the Royal Rumble time. But, or he could just all of a sudden just sort of be forgotten about. But he had a really good match against AJ Styles. He showed how good he was. I think that Styles versus Almas is a match of the future. But Styles versus Joe, I think, is somebody that could put the WWE's championship in jeopardy. Obviously, AJ Styles has held on to that belt for a long time. He's coming up on big records in WWE. Guys like Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Yokozuna. I think he's coming up on John Cena and JBL's runs that they've had lately. So Joe is a guy to be taken, not to be taken lightly. I think that he is a guy that could be taking that belt from AJ. I think that's going to be a really good match that people are really going to be happy to see. This match is already coming together. We have Ronda Rousey, who is granted being the number one contender to Alexa Bliss. After Alexa Bliss came in and caused Rousey's match to be tossed out at Backlash? It wasn't at Extreme Rules. I'm pretty sure it was at Backlash. And, from there, no, it was at Money in the Bank. Because right after that, Alexa Bliss cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase on Nia Jax to become the new Raw Women's Champion. But basically, Kurt Angle said, hey, Rousey, you stay away from Bliss for 1 week. You're the number one contender, and we're having a match at SummerSlam. That's going to be a good one. Hopefully, that's Rousey finally getting that strap put up around her waist. And I know that Alexa Bliss is going to give her one hell of a match to give her. SmackDown's Women's Championship, we saw Becky Lynch getting back in the hunt, going after Carmella. I really think this is going to be a good match. Becky Lynch, when the original draft that a lot of people have been pointing fingers at over the last week because of the 2-year anniversary. Becky Lynch was the person I thought was going to be the leader of SmackDown. I thought they basically drafted SmackDown the way they did because Becky Lynch had not had a chance to be WWE Champion as of yet. And I thought that Becky Lynch was going to be the chick to run SmackDown, basically the way that AJ Styles has done since that draft as well. But Alexa Bliss became an emerging star. I believe that Becky Lynch was originally going to be the number one contender at the No Mercy pay-per-view very early on after the draft in 2016, but due to injury, they had to move that match back until they went to Scotland, where Becky Lynch did become the champion, but then lost the belt back to Alexa Bliss pretty fast. So let's see if Becky can actually capture that belt from Carmella. That's a match that I honestly would bet against Carmella on. Becky Lynch to get the win there. Who gives a care about the B team? We got B team going up against Matt Hardy and Bray against the Revival. I am a fan of the Revival. I can't remember the last time they had a really good match on television that I liked, but that could be a good one. We've got Nakamura versus Randy Orton against Jeff Hardy. This is the reason why Randy Orton has been returning and beating up Jeff Hardy. I guess he's really into that United States Championship. I thought that basically Orton won the U.S. title around WrestleMania time just because it was the only way to get him onto the WrestleMania pay-per-view, but here he is getting right back into the United States Championship. Obviously, Randy is taking a little bit of a knock and stepping down a little bit to where he is now just sort of that mid-card guy, but hopefully we'll see one more run of Randy Orton before it's all said and done. John Cena versus The Undertaker is a rumored match. I can honestly tell you that I've already made a video about that, and I'm really hoping that we don't see it, but, I don't write the cards here in WWE. And then we've got Daniel Bryan going up against The Miz. This, of course, is going to be their big match that was rumored to happen for over the 2 years that Daniel Bryan was the GM of SmackDown, where Daniel Bryan and The Miz had that run-in on Smack and Talking Smack, and basically that led to the WWE writers as well as Vince McMahon basically saying there's no way for us to put this match on because Daniel Bryan will never be cleared. We need to have these guys separated, but the heat was so good that they had to pair these guys together and string it along, and now here we are, Daniel Bryan finally being cleared and ready to wrestle. This is the match that people have been really wanting to see. People are going to be pumped for this. My only hope is that, Daniel Bryan or The Miz, whoever can win this feud, moves into the title picture because both of these guys need it. I sort of understand them wanting to stay away from Bryan, but there comes a point when what's the point of having this guy wrestle if you're scared to put him in the big matches because you're scared that he's going to get hurt? If he's doing that, just release him, let him go wrestle on the independents. It doesn't really make sense to string this guy along and never put him in situations where he can win the big one. Then we also got Sasha Banks versus Bayley. I'm guessing this is going to be added if they don't do the rumored WWE Tag Team Championships for the women's division. But this match has been rumored along enough. I was really surprised that they didn't run. This is sort of a impromptu match at Extreme Rules where they were doing the therapy in the back and they just started fighting. They brawled their way down the stage and then they just started beating the crap out of each other right there in the middle of the ring, hitting each other with kendo sticks and stuff like that. I really thought something like that was going to happen, but instead they weren't booked and we didn't see them. The main women's rivalry that's been going down on Monday Night Raw for the past month, maybe even longer, and they weren't even used on the pay-per-view. So we'll see what goes down. As of right now, I think the WWE SummerSlam 2018 looks like one hell of a card. Hopefully you guys are going to be pumped for it because as of right now, I'm pretty pumped.